Pikmin 2 was released on the Nintendo Gamecube in 2004 and later released for the Nintendo Wii in 2009. It is the sequel to the first game, something which I took a look back in one of my earliest episodes of James Games. It wasn't so long ago when I said that when I look back at some of my earlier videos, I just cringe. When I see how crap they are in comparison to how they are nowadays, there's no question. Granted, not even the latest videos are perfect in my eyes, but as long as they are satisfying for myself and my friends and for the rest of my audience, I'm happy. If you're starting out on YouTube, my best advice for you would be not to rush into things, because in the end it may turn out really badly. But enough of that, let's talk about Pikmin 2. It's so much bigger in scale when you compare it to the first one. I even heard that it is still the biggest Pikmin game, despite the third one being out for 3 years now. I can't really say much about that Pikmin game because I never bought the Wii U, hence why I've never played that game. I probably will buy the Switch though. Now may seem like I have been kissing Nintendo's ass lately, giving extremely positive reviews of games like The Wind Waker and A Link Between Worlds. But in all seriousness, this game falls right into the gaming heaven category yet again. Pikmin 2 is one of the most finely crafted strategy games ever made, and for that, it makes it high on my list of Nintendo Gamecube games that should be played. It's just outstanding. I loved playing the first one before this even came out, and when Pikmin 2 got released, it took all of the best things from the first game and it just made it even better. Now time for a recap. In the first game, of course, Captain Olimar had to collect 30 parts of his ship after crash landing on an alien planet. He had a 30-day time limit, meaning that as a player you would have found this very challenging, especially if you're new to this franchise. During the course of the game, you encountered 3 Pikmin types, red, yellow and blue, each having their own abilities, reds being resistant to fire, blues being able to travel in water areas, and yellows being able to be tossed higher in the air as well as carry bomb rocks to destroy stone walls in order to progress through the game. Of course, after the game is completed, Captain Olimar sets a course home to his planet Hocate, and here is where we start with Pikmin 2. Upon arrival, Olimar is greeted to bad news by his president and Louis, who are also playable characters in the game. This is the first game in the series in which you get to play as more than one main character, and this gives the game more merit. The aim of the game, this time, is not to collect ship parts, but instead collect treasure, as the company Olimar works for is bankrupt and debt needs to be paid off. Each treasure you salvage using the Pikmin are worth different values. If memory serves me correctly, there are about 201 treasures that you can find in this game. Did you hear that? 201! The first game had 30 parts, and this has 201 pieces of treasure, as well as other collectible items. See what you mean about this game being bigger in scale in comparison to the first one? Yeah. There's no question. This game is huge compared to the first game. A lot of this is owed to the introduction of underground caves. For around half the time you play the game, you will need to go underground to collect treasures, as well as collect treasures above ground, like you do in the first game all the time. But down here, underground, you also encounter 2 new Pikmin species, the purples and the whites, which means that you have 5 types of Pikmin to use. The purples are so useful in this game. They are the strongest of them all, and enemies that you've struggled to defeat in the first game are no longer an issue here. They weigh equivalent to 10 normal Pikmin. The only detrimental comment I have for the purples is that they are the slowest when you roam all the game's environments. But for the most part, I find the purples very, very useful. The whites, on the other hand, are the fastest out of any type of Pikmin encountered so far. They can uncover treasures that can only be found underground and are immune to poison. Having these two new types of Pikmin alongside the returning three is something which definitely makes this a sequel that is actually superior to the first game, and the original game is one I love, so that's saying something. The three original types are more or less the same as they were in the original, except here the yellow Pikmin no longer carry bomb rocks, as a mechanic was scrapped for this game. There's no stone walls or anything like that in this game, so don't expect to be carrying bomb rocks anytime in this game. They're completely absent. Now though, instead of carrying bomb rocks, the yellows are immune to electricity and are needed to take down electric obstacles as well as defeat electric type enemies. The electric fences are more or less the replacement for the stone walls that were in the first game. Overall, Pikmin 2 totally delivers on being a sequel that is actually much better than the first game. While I do find myself pressing that reset button quite a few times towards the end of the game, when it becomes even more challenging, it is one of the best things that came out during the 5-year lifespan of the Gamecube. The addition of the new 2-player mode and revised challenge mode are also other choices that were made by Nintendo. Plus, I love visiting the Piklopedia every time you encounter a new creature, because there are lots, and I mean lots of enemies in this game. I can play this for hours. It really annoyed me that Nintendo skipped a generation with the Wii and ended up releasing the Pikmin 3 for the Wii U almost 10 years after this was released. But seeing as the new 2D side-scroller Pikmin game is in the works for the 3DS, as well as talk of Pikmin 4 coming soon, it shows that this franchise is far from dead, and I think a lot of it comes down to the sheer brilliance of Pikmin 2.